Yesterday, the entire Dragon Ball community essentially exploded with hype with the announcement of the first new Budokai Tenkaichi game in literally 16 years, with Budokai Tenkaichi 3 being released all the way back in 2007. Since then, Dragon Ball has become fundamentally different, with 5 movies, an anime, and a still ongoing manga having been released since then, and that's not even counting new non-canonical material like the entire Super Dragon Ball Hero series. These all have probably introduced hundreds of characters into the Dragon Ball canon or non-canon, but raises an incredibly interesting question. Who's going to be added to the massive roster of 161 characters who are in Budokai 3, and who's getting removed? Now, we know almost nothing about this game other than the several seconds of potentially pre-rendered footage of Goku going Super Saiyan Blue, so let this be a reminder that everything I say in this video may end up being wrong, but I still want to try to substantiate everything I say with as much proof or precedent as possible. Before we go any further, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. Okay, so obviously we can confidently say that this game is going to be including material from Dragon Ball Super. Not only do we see Super Saiyan Blue, but pretty much every Dragon Ball game in the last decade or so since the beginning of Super has included material from Super. Kakarot focused on Z, but through DLC it has now covered material from Super, so I'm counting it. Where things get a little bit iffy though is manga material. I saw so many people getting hyped and excited over potential manga characters like Moro, Granola, Gas, and even Ultra Ego Vegeta making an appearance in this game. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but with how Dragon Ball media functions, there's almost zero chance as a franchise is now that manga characters are going to be in this game. Firstly, just from a technical standpoint, these characters would have to be voiced, and I don't think there's ever been a case of a manga character getting put in a game and being given a voice actor before they actually appeared in the official Dragon Ball anime itself. Secondly, we can see this precedent already kind of being established in games like Xenoverse 2 and Dragon Ball Heroes, which are introducing recently appeared characters almost all the time into their games, yet neither have actually ever brought in any manga exclusive characters. I've heard that there's like a contractual thing that causes this to happen, but I've actually never seen like the official source of that, but also keep that in mind. However, there is a little bit of hope. If the Dragon Ball Super anime ever does come back, and it does indeed cover the events of the manga, then at worst these characters will be introduced as DLC. And that's also important to note, there's nearly 100% chance of DLC for this game. I saw a lot of people also saying they really hope that this game just has a massive base roster and then doesn't get anything added because there's nothing to add, but every major Dragon Ball game that's been released recently has had massive amounts of DLC. Fighters, Kakarot, Xenoverse 2, and Breakers, regardless of how successful they were, all got DLC. So this game will absolutely have it too. I hope, though, that they don't keep any hype characters who already exist behind this DLC wall, but I wouldn't be surprised if certain movie characters from like the Z era get turned into DLC characters. Something like Cooler's Revenge DLC pack or a Wrath of the Dragon DLC pack. So who do I think is getting cut off the roster entirely? Again, while ideally nobody would be cut just for the sheer insanity of it, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of the one-off, non-major, or henchman characters get cut. Characters like Apule, Tambourine, Nam, Frieza Soldier. I would also not be surprised if some of these characters are consolidated or slightly changed. For example, in Budokai 3, or Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Goku has an early, mid, and end forms. These might all be consolidated into one Z version of Goku, just like how GT Goku is not divided into any phases. On the same note as GT, I don't think they're going to be cut for the sake of super characters. In the trailer, we see Super Saiyan 4, but I could totally see some GT characters being put into DLC instead of being put into the base game, just for a justification to have more DLC. For the most part, the question of what characters will be added from Super is actually pretty straightforward until we get to the Tournament of Power. Before this point, the array of opponents is pretty straightforward and compact. Like, Goku Black would just have a base and Rose version, and Fusion Zamasu would just have a normal and corrupted form. The arc that really messes with things is the Tournament of Power. And so I'll pose this question to you guys. How much of the Tournament of Power is going to be cut from the roster? Will it only be major players like Jiren, Topo, Dispo, Hit, or are they going to go nuts and include every guy from every universe? Let me know. The part that's actually going to potentially make the roster massive, though, is the division between Z, Dragon Ball, and Super versions. Instantly, almost every good guy now has a second form, potentially even more with characters like Gohan, who's probably going to get a Tournament of Power, Resurrection F, and maybe even a superhero version. This is probably going to be the first game where Cell Max is playable, which is, I think, really exciting, given how characters like Hyrudigarn and the Great Apes are playable in the Budokai Tenkaichi games. Finally, the least likely group that I think is going to make it into this game is going to be the non-canon stuff from Heroes. Ignoring the massive legal issues it has in the West with characters getting voiced, kind of just like for the manga, I really don't see someone like Hearts appearing in a game or something like Golden Cooler, but I would absolutely love to be proven wrong. So let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinions, and comment down below how excited you are for Budokai Tenkaichi 4. See ya!